Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Inside the Picture. We're missing Bo Crouch tonight, but hopefully Bo is tuning in, and maybe we can invite him at some point or another and give him the link to come on, right, Candy? So,
Yeah,
with
I can
that
do that.
particular said, why don't you try to do that and see if we can send him the link to do it? Hello, Cyberuski, but meanwhile, this is a group that we have. Penton, welcome to the show on short notice.
Thanks for having me. A little short notice, but thanks for having me.
Well, he always comes on short notice, so no problem.
Oh
And
yeah,
Ben
no
Troop
problem.
comes on regular notice every Tuesday night. Glad to have him with us.
Always good to be on with you, fine gentlemen. And the Rolls Royce herself, Miss Candy's always good to be on with you.
Well, your
Always.
retention's unbelievable. He knows how to win Miss Candy over good. Welcome. Well, great segue, though, Candy. Glad to have you on as usual. Your regular spot at Inside the Big Ten.
Thank you. It's good to be here. You know I love football, so
Oh, yeah. And last but not least, my pupil, Stephen Reichel. Look at this guy. He's now the new starter professor in the pupil. Well, co-star, whatever you call it. He did the first tag last night. We built the show around this guy's articles, so great stuff. So have a lot to get to tonight. Good evening, Cyberuski. Good evening, Brian Pettit. And we'll get this bad boy started. Deion Sanders signs a 5-year, $54 million deal with Colorado. Any doubt that he would leave? Well, we'll lead it off with Pensman.
No, I don't think he. I didn't think he was gonna leave. I thought he was gonna stay there. When what I had a feeling that the slight thing I thought he was gonna leave. I thought he was gonna go to Dallas, but as soon as I thought that Dallas wasn't gonna take him, I knew he was gonna stay at Colorado. So it's a good move by Colorado. He's made now he can actually mentor what he needs to mentor and be a father figure to the Colorado students. So that's what I take on that.
What do you think, Ben?
Yeah, I never thought he was going to leave. Deion Sanders does a great job of using his leverage. I mean, we talking about a couple of years removed from them saying they don't even know if they're going to have the money to pay him. Now, Warren Sapp's on the staff. Marshall Falk is on the staff. He's coached a Heisman Trophy winner. They went 9-3. So, yeah, Deion Sanders is great at marketing, but he understands that he wants to leave a legacy on college football before he ever decides to even go pro. I never thought he was going to leave, but hey, man, listen, Deion Sanders is great for business. They might not have won a national championship yet, but everything is pouring up. Where they making a lot of money in Boulder these days.
Sure are. All right. What do you think, Steven?
I mean, I obviously thought he was going to take a job. I think maybe like he's going to wait for another year or two to pass, but after seeing this, and then you just see, I don't know if anyone's seen the announcement today, they're retiring Travis and Shador's numbers in Colorado, which I think is a slap in the face to a handful of other alumni that have already been there. Cordell Stewart should have had his number retired. Eric Bieniemy, there's a handful of guys that probably should have gotten that before they did, but they're doing what they're doing to keep Deion in house right now. So not surprised that he signed. Let's see if he continues the winning culture there and actually brings them a national championship.
What do you think, Candy?
Colorado's football team was not in the spotlight before Deion. Deion really put Colorado football on the map.
Very good.
And so for whether you like him or you don't like him, he's done a masterful job in bringing players to that program, bringing fans to the stands for their program, to build their program. Did I ever think he was going to Dallas? No, because he has too much of a personality to let Jerry Jones influence or tell him what to do. So I didn't think that. But kudos to Colorado for letting him bring prominence to their program. Do I think they should have retired those numbers? No. But that's my personal opinion, and that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about Deion Sanders right now. So, kudos to them for keeping going, and hopefully he'll be able to keep the momentum with his program and keep the money coming in as well.
I think he was a ball in Boulder. I think he really truly enjoys it in Colorado. Lives in a pretty good house, doesn't have to pay an arm and a leg for it. But I thought if there was ever a college job he was going to get or want, it would have been Florida State, is what I thought. Because that's where what his alma mater is. But when Florida State didn't come along, you're going to an everything to gain, nothing to lose situation in house money with Colorado. After it was a job he did at Jackson State, I think it had a better fit than I really actually thought it would. It really was. So more power to Dion. I'm glad he's happy. It'll be interesting to see what he does without a Sanders at quarterback this year. But again, this guy knows how to recruit. He's a good businessman. If you can win at Jackson State and you can turn Colorado around, I say that's a good body of work to really, really do. Let's stay on to the college team, and we'll go to Stanford. GM Andrew Luck is fired. Head coach Troy Taylor following investigations into the mistreatment of female staffers. Luck hired Frank Reich as interim coach for 2025. All right, Ben, what do you think about this move?
I think you see why having a former player at the GM position is going to benefit everybody involved, because this is a person that, while they have Stanford's best interest in mind, he's not a yes person. I mean, when it comes to a guy like Andrew Luck, he knows that everybody's going to see how are you going to treat these grown men making decisions when it comes to these. Listen, women should be protected at all costs on any college campus, and them Title IX presidents, they should be under pressure. So I'm very, very impressed with what Andrew Luck did, because people just thought he was going to be a face. Obviously, he has a very outgoing, easygoing, happy-go-lucky type, persona and mentality. But I think he's setting the precedent, saying, look, if we're not going to be winning at Stanford, we're definitely not going to be terrorizing these women on campus. So very, very impressed with what Andrew Luck did, because sometimes when you're a former player and you get to become a GM at a school that made you, famous, even though Stanford has made a lot of players famous, people want to know, hey, Andrew, are you just a slot filler? Right? Or you here to make moves? He's making moves, and you can tell that he don't have to answer to nobody but maybe the AD or the president. So, shout out to Andrew Luck, who, everybody thought that it was going to be, that's Andrew Luck. He's not gonna do anything to me. You better try again. So if you a current coach, future coach, or you doing the wrong thing when it comes to the women athletes on campus, that's not going to fly on Andrew Luck watch. Very, very impressed by that.
Well, I'm also glad that Frank Reich's getting another opportunity to be a head coach, at least for 1 year, after the way things went down in Carolina with a 1-10 mark. He deserved to go out with a better fate than he did. But think about Andrew Luck, though. His father's name is Oliver Luck, who is pretty well known and throughout college football and football, one of the most credible people on the planet. So I'm happy Andrew took the position that he did. And Frank Reich got another opportunity to prove he can coach at a legitimate place, and Andrew does trust him. Penza, what do you think?
It's good to see Andrew Luck and Frank Reich back together again. They were coaching and players, so it's no surprise that Andrew's like, yo, Frank, I need you. So if you have a good relationship with an elderly person like Frank, he'll be like, yeah, sure, I'll come help you out. But it's always good to have that bond with that. And as Ben said, it's always good to have women protection with that. So what Andrew did, it's really shows out what Andrew is capable of, because a lot of people don't know Andrew outside of throwing the pigskin. So
okay, let's go over to Steven.
Andrew Luck doing his thing, putting his weight down, letting him know he's not just a name there. You have to give kudos to him for that. Frank Reich being there, not as Penske was already mentioning, being the fact that they were together there in Indianapolis as a coach and quarterback, not a surprise. The chat's already blowing up of showing us Frank Reich some support and love there. Obviously, I got time for him for his time here in Philadelphia. Do like to see that. I know he's in interim status right now, but I think it's just a foregone conclusion when you have them two there together already there in Stanford. I think it's just a matter of time before the interim status gets dropped. He just has to not have a bad season. He doesn't have to have a huge turnaround or anything like that. But as long as he's sending the program in the right direction, there's no way that Frank isn't retained after the season. But we all know how crazy things is in college football from time to time. So yeah, he could be just a stopgap. But hey, listen, he could have a complete turnaround and get eyes and get him back in the NFL. You never know how things play out. We see coaches fly around between the NCAA and the NFL like it's nobody's business. But if I'm a betting man, I guarantee you he's going to be there at least 3 years.
You know what, Eddie? You really, really nailed this one. I wanted Reich in Dallas, not freaking Schottenheimer. I could not agree more with what Eddie Prather said.
Reich's not a yes man. We already talked about this. They only went yes men there.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, though, Eddie, you absolutely hit a bullseye on it. And yes, Ralph, it's sad what happened to Frank Reich at Carolina. He deserved better fate than that. Bryce Young had no protection, and Frank did the best he could with what he had to do and set it up for David Canales. So there you go. Candy, go ahead.
So Andrew Luck was briefed on 2 outside investigations into former coach Troy Taylor as part of his onboarding process when he returned to his alma mater in November. He said during a news conference, "Even a week and a half ago, I thought the direction of the program was different from where we are now. He thought it was important to have a reset. 2 weeks ago, ESPN reported that 2 outside firms had found that Taylor bullied and belittled female athletic staffers, sought to have an NC2A compliance officer removed after she warned him of rule violations and repeatedly made inappropriate comments to another woman about her appearance. Luck said that he initially had intended to retain him. However, him and the school changed course. He think they needed some time, clarity, and they needed a whole reset. So that led him to Frank, who was Luck's coach, obviously with the Colts. This offseason, Rick said he turned down several opportunities to coach in the NFL in various capacities and was about set to spend another year away from football. But then when Luck called, he said he was interested in coaching if only the right opportunity came along, and this was his right opportunity. So kudos to Luck for envisioning a change and needing clarity and making that change, because he hasn't been in that role very long, and to make a change like that, kudos to him. And then kudos to Frank for taking it. I hope he does really well. I hope he enjoys it, and maybe it'll lead to another job down the road. You just never know. Or maybe he decides he enjoys it so much he doesn't want another job down the road.
Well, think about all these NFL coaches that are migrating to Saturdays. My goodness, Frank Reich's the latest on the left. Let's go back to Eddie Prather. Marty was overrated and Brian is terrible. There you go, another bullseye. How many bullseyes can you hit on one show, Eddie? Keep them coming. But I agree. I'm glad that Luck gave Frank Reich a better start. What David Tepper did to Frank Reich in Carolina was awful. It was, but he got paid good money to be treated that way. Not like he got underpaid to be for 11 games, albeit they didn't go. They didn't fare well on him. But he's out in Stanford, and who knows? Maybe we'll have an opportunity to see Frank Reich here at Candy. What the Miami Hurricanes time will tell. Let's continue.
Well, one last thing I do want to add is that Frank Reich is not bringing over any of his other coaches. The rest of the coaching staff is staying the same. He's just going to be slated in. So I think that'll be interesting, because most of the time when you see a coach take over, he brings in his hires and stuff like that. And they're not making that kind of a change there at Stanford. I actually think that's good, though, because think about it. These guys know what they have there. Frank can go ahead and learn from them this year. And then, if he stays longer than a year, then you see if he makes modifications later. Ben, what do you think? I'll let you close off the topic since you obviously are a big college guy.
I mean, I think it shows that Andrew Luck did a really, really good job, of making a huge impression on Frank White when they was, head coach, and player. And let's face it, if I'm a brand new GM like an Andrew Luck, I need somebody that knows me, and I need somebody I respect that can tell me, hey man, I know you the coach, but I need some pointers too. Frank White being obviously back in college and Andrew Luck being the GM of his alma mater, you want two people that respect each other. A lot of times when you talk about coaches, the reason why they stay coaches, you see the same coaches kind of like going on coaching carousel. This GM position is new in college athletics. And Andrew Luck, he's saying, look, I don't know how long I'm gonna be the GM at Stanford, but I want to make sure that if I'm just a slot filler for the next guy, I want to set the precedent of maybe former players becoming GMs could be the new thing. Andrew Luck knows, hey man, I'm starting a new trend. I want to be a trend setter. I don't want to be the reason why we don't get opportunities anymore because we too close to the program.
Well, if you're going to go that far, I'll just add a thing, and nobody has to comment on it. I'm just going to make mention of Max Crosby of the Raiders took an assistant general manager role when he'll come out eventually when he retires. So these roles and Ron Rivera as well. Well, we'll use that for another night, but those are just a couple of names that stand out. All right, let's continue on the theme. The reason why I titled the show that is what I did is the mouth of the South. Paul Feinbaum claims NIL is becoming an existential threat to college football. He says the lack of leadership overall and cohesion in the sport is creating more of an issue and is exacerbating the problem. All right, we'll stay with you, Ben. What do you think about Paul? Do you think he's onto something?
I do not, and this is why I do not. Every time we talking about NIL, we always talking about the exception. We are not talking about the rules. So you're telling me the NCAA knew that a hurricane known as NIL was coming, and they did absolutely nothing. They didn't do anything. So now they want Congress to step in. So since we've had NIL, we've had one holdout. One. In the history of NIL, I know it's very, very young, but here's what I will say. Everything that a player does in NIL, you know who showed them how to do it? A coach did. Everything these players are doing, they learn from coaches. You have NIL, it's not name and image likeness, it's name and image leverage. You use your leverage, right, to have some level of longevity. Now, do I got to agree with what Nico did? No, but Nico saw what Carson Beck got. Nico said Carson Beck said he wanted more money, so he went to Miami. I want more money. Why would he want more money? I negotiated almost $9 million before I ever took a snap. Do you think a kid from California even know what the state of Tennessee is? No. But I just think that transfer portal is supposed to kill college athletics. Now, NIL is supposed to kill it. Well, here's the thing, right? No one says anything to a coach when a coach makes a lateral move. Lincoln Riley was doing his thing at OU. He just chose to get more money to go to USC, right? He took Caleb Williams with him. When you think about NIL, we are judging the 99.9% from the 0.1%. Nico is one player making a move. And something to add about Nico. Nico is Polynesian. And if you know anything about the Polynesian culture, when the people of authority, his daddy say he gonna move, he ain't gonna say a word. They don't do that, back and forth type stuff. So I realize that Nico is on the 72-hour news cycle. And I would say this about NIL. I don't think whatever stance you have with NIL is wrong. I think we all have a stance in it. But Paul Feinbaum understands this. Agreeing with NIL doesn't get me clicks. Disagreeing with NIL gets me a lot of clicks, gets me a lot of eyes. But we're talking about one player. Remember when Leonard Fournette and Christian McCaffrey, high-profile players, decided to sit out the bowl games? They don't really do that no more, do they? So I get it. It's gonna make news. But here's the thing. Put the onus back on the people, like Mark Emmert and the NCAA. Why they make some guardrails for it? Because the NCAA wants to look like it has power when it really, really doesn't. They don't want to do anything. When's the last time somebody said, "Hey, I don't want to do this. Let Congress do it"? What? You want Congress to do it? So I think Nico is going to get his money. Excuse me. I think he's going to go out to the West Coast. But do I think NIL is killing it? No, because guess what? You know what football is when you kick the ball off? It's dummy proof. It's idiot proof. When you kick the ball off, it's a slow news day. There's no football going on. When you kick the ball off in the fall, all this goes away. I guarantee it.
Well, you know why you make such a good point? Because really, Candy and I just covered a spring game, and they didn't give out a roster to the media because who's going to be on it the next week? You might as well stay in your paper anyways. So all I did is took a different approach this time. I sat in the end zone where the ball was coming. I stood there for one quarter, sat on the sidelines, and then I sat over in a little bleacher section while Candy was taking the pictures. So you know what? I didn't care. All I do is take my microphone, and stick it in Cristobal and all these other players there and talk. Because what are you going to do anyways at these spring games? Really? Seriously? Really? I mean, that's just the way I look at it. It's like I'm there just to get interviews, and that is all I'm looking to do. Candy does her jobs with the video. She does a good job taking the pictures, and I just go ahead and stay hydrated to get ready for the rest of the stuff. That's what you have to do. And you are so 100% right. And when Cristobal, when it was talked about it, he doesn't want any part of that holdout stuff. We won't get into a lot of that tonight. Maybe we'll play the quote next week because Adam Lichtenstein went out there and asked a question that could be heard around the world. But we'll let Stephen Reichel pick it up from here. What do you think about what Paul Feinbaum said? Do you think there's any merit to it?
I'm with Ben on this one. An existential threat to college football? No. Do you think college football is going to go away? No. You think these universities are not going to be making millions upon millions of dollars on end? No. Is the NCAA not going to be pulling in billions and billions of dollars? No. They're just upset that their pockets are getting thinner now. I don't want to hear this nonsense. I don't. After what we see the NCAA do to guys like Reggie Bush and stuff like that, stop crying to me about losing a couple $1 million a year because you're making money hand over fist off these kids' names. Because most of the time we're still dealing with kids, not young men, and we're getting upset for what Nico's doing right now. Stop, man. I agree with Ben. He's probably going to be wound up on the West Coast. Hey, you're just talking about Colorado needing a quarterback. Wouldn't be surprised if he ends up winding up playing in Colorado either. I'm not saying that that's definitely where he's going to go, but like if I'm him, that should be on my list of teams where I would entertain to play, considering the big names have kind of flown out to the NFL this year. But listen, them sitting there saying they want Congress to handle it, that's probably the thing I would have. I peak my ears up for, because you don't want the government involved in this. You don't. You don't. But it's not a threat. Is this something that we need to put some safeguards and some guardrails on it? Yeah, maybe. But it's not something that is going to threaten college football at any level. Listen, let these kids get their money. Y'all been making money off of their names for far too long. Stop crying to me about losing a couple million, couple $100 million now because you can't be making strictly your money off of their likenesses. So it's not a threat. We're gonna see some more stuff, more kids pulling some of this stuff until they do put some safeguards into it. But it's not a threat.
What do you think, Pensman? I know you're a man of few words.
It's not a threat. When Steven and I'm not sure about Ben because I don't know his age, but when Steven and I were younger, they were worried. They survived through that era. They didn't worry about money. College football is expanding. They have a 12-team playoff. When Steven and I were younger, they were just there with one team, one loss, and then you're out of the playoffs. Now you can have like 3 losses and still make the playoffs. It's still expanding, so they're not going to lose money. It's not a threat, and you do not want to have Congress take care of this because they can't even handle some of the situations that's going on right now. So you don't want the government involved in this, so you keep them out of college football. So,
well, I'll only say this, Candy. Why don't you put Eddie's 2 comments up? The NCAA higher up should have had rules in place, like a cap and how many times someone can transfer. I have to say, I do agree how many times you can transfer.
Maybe a cap, but to say you can only transfer X amount of time. Listen, you don't know if you transfer somebody, you thought you were going to have X coach come in, and then he winds up taking a deal elsewhere or going to an NFL. You cannot sit there and say that's how many times somebody can transfer. You don't know. You never know. Maybe the kid was dating somebody and she passed away, and he just cannot be in that camp. You can't change things the way how life goes sometimes. A cap, maybe that's something. Like I said, you need to put safeguards and guardrails on this thing.
Right.
But and then his other comments even more ridiculous. But go ahead.
If the players can ask for more money, then schools should ask for money back if players have. Now I'm not so sure about that one. Not in college, but you know what, Candy? Go ahead, take it from here.
Okay, first of all, NIL is completely separate from the transfer portal. We should not be talking about them together because they don't go hand in hand. They are 2 totally separate topics. NIL means college students can get money on their name and image. If they went into the working world, they would get paid. If they went into the army or the government, they'd get paid. So why are we saying that they shouldn't get paid? And now they're not getting, let's also be clear, they don't get paid from the school. They get paid from boosters, from advertisers, from other places. It's how they want their name out there. Why should we be worried about, is that going to be a threat to college football? No, that's not threatening the game. The transfer portal, maybe, but that's a total different topic. Maybe coaches, maybe everybody else, and they're the threat, but not NIL. NIL is allowing students that are of age to get paid for something that they're doing. And I'm sorry, Eddie, your comment about should they give money back if they had a bad year? Do the NFL players give their money back if they had a bad year?
Do coaches give it back? Do coaches get that money back? Absolutely.
Exactly. Do you give money back if you had a bad day at work? Like, I'm sorry, my tax accountant made a mistake. Does he give me money back? No, come on. Like, I mean, where do you draw the line? I'm sorry.
But, I love it when she's like this. She's on fire, right? Hey, listen, that's why Ben really loves this girl, man.
I do. No, hold on. Listen. Check this out. I'm gonna give you guys a scenario. If a player on a college team had played on, like, just say they had a Thursday night game, right? And then come Friday, right, they just quit the team. People will go crazy, right? They'll go, wait a minute, you just had a good game and they just quit the team. Do you remember when Coach Paterno was the head coach of the Falcons? And he coached on Monday night, and he was the Arkansas head coach the next day. The very next day, he was the Arkansas head coach. No one said, could you imagine? I'm the head coach for the Falcons. I just coached a Monday night game. I didn't do no post-game press conference. I didn't address the team. And the next day, whatever they say in Arkansas. And Arkansas thought this was a good idea. You know what everybody said? Well, he got to do what's best for him. Why is it everybody want to put all these sanctions on these players? I don't. It's like the average college football player. We don't know who they are, male or female. We know the hop. Everybody knows Travis Hunter and Ashton Genty and Abdul Carter. Who's the backup tight end for Penn State? I don't know. NIL is supposed to work for everybody involved, meaning I expect the quarterbacks to get the most money. I just want something. And for those of us that have been to college, something means a lot in college. I mean, a whole lot. I remember when I was in college, $20 was a luxury. You know how much stuff you can get for $20 in Walmart? If you ain't, that's a lot of stuff. So when people get to saying, hey, man, these kids want millions. No, they don't. They want something. And if you want FCS to be involved with NIL, put them on NCAA 2026. It's either college football or not. Put them on there. But no, giving money back, the fact that head coaches get exit clauses, they get paid to leave. That is the greatest contract ever. I can stink it up and still get paid. Yes, they got to pay you even if you stink up the joint. Well, miss me with that crazy stuff.
You want to go there? You want to talk about Willie Taggart? How many places has he been paid for being bad? Let's go any crazier for a moment. Okay, I'm going to say this. You're going to talk about Nico, who was very average, shouldn't be getting a raise. Tennessee defense carried the offense last year. Nico looked about. Why do you think Josh Heupel had no problem letting him go? Eddie, what you just did is you made a case for Josh Heupel is really what you did. Plus, you did a good job getting Candy emotional. My goodness. The only time I've ever seen her get like this is when the Packers are playing the Bucks and the Brewers. But, boy, you did something, Eddie, that most people couldn't do. And you got Candy going, man. You did unbelievable. This girl doesn't get like this. We saw a real fire with Candy today. But here's the thing. Paul Feinbaum made a living getting on Jim Harbaugh's nerves. Well, you can't do it no more because he's with the Chargers. Now, I'm going to add a hypothetical. Nobody has to answer this. I just want you to listen. You think about Nevin Shapiro and all the things he did with the Miami Hurricanes. That was nothing compared to what's going on now. And yet it took Butch Davis to try to get that situation all squared away. And Miami Hurricanes were behind the 8 ball for a while. I'm just saying, We may make a topic out of this later. I wasn't messing with Cristobal on that. I was able to get guardian caps out of him. Even Steven will tell you that wasn't an easy thing to do. And I talked to him about training camp. We may put his comments on when Adam Lichtenstein hopefully comes on. We'll have a lot more from the spring football game later. But Eddie, I really have to admit, though, you're coming up with some really good stuff, and you're definitely sparking some really neat debate as far as no one should be allowed more than 6 years in college. You know what? I'm kind of agree with him on that. The normal is 4 or 5. Any more than 6, I think, is a little bit out of control. But Eddie, I got to give you credit, my friend. You're bringing up some very legitimate points that not only on this show, but they've certainly been mentioned before. So I have no problem with what you've done here. You got this crew going, and we can talk about this all night, but we're gonna talk about something.
Scott, depends on the situation why you have to be a six-year college, the 6-year senior. It depends on the situation of your.
Well, I know there's injuries involved too, Penn, and I get that stuff.
Yeah,
but
I'm just saying.
But if you want to be a sweat hog and go back to Welcome Back Cotter, they used to stay in high school forever. Does anybody remember Welcome Back Cotter? I mean, seriously, really? I mean, Colorado already got a decent replacement for Sanders, the quarterback Salter. Probably do. We'll see what happens. But I understand injuries. I get that part. But 7, 8 years in college, that kind of to me is like a career student. But it's a good segue to what I'm going to tell you right now, though. If you're going to go anywhere, you might as well go to the United Football League. I think we had a field day kicking around the Canadian Football League last week. So we're not going to kick around the United Football League. All I'm going to say is that ESPN announced their USL cruise for 2025. Joe Tessitore, who couldn't do anything on Monday Night Football, gets to try to make the UFL interesting. Jordan Rogers, Tom Luganbill, Cole Kublik, and more to call games this season. What are your thoughts about this potential crew here, Pensman? You think they're going to keep it interesting?
I would think so. Like the UFL's got to grow. I mean, they're trying to do it, see what they could do. I like the direction that they're heading. It's just they got to get more tweaks in there. I like the rules.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the announcers. Really?
Yeah, I know.
Really?
I know.
About these guys?
That's what I'm saying. You got to tweak things up, so maybe the announcers will be awesome.
Yeah, but all right, never mind. I'm going to make everybody's life easier. Just tell me you don't know anything about these announcers, and I will say it's okay.
No, all right, fine. I defer.
All right, well, good. That's a good way to do it. I mean, even Joe Tessitore. Did you ever know that once upon a time he was on Monday Night Football and they ran him out?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Stop while you're ahead. Okay, Ben, take over. You need to save this guy.
Oh, Joe Tessitore is that guy. I mean, they didn't run him out of Monday Night Football because he wasn't good. They ran him out of Monday Night Football because of the people they had around him. I like Cole Kubik. I think he's been really, really good on SEC Network. He gets to continue to add, to his career. I mean, Jordan Rogers, the brother of Aaron Rodgers. When it comes to commentating, when it comes to color, it's all about who you pair the people with. Joe Tessitore has $1 million voice. That voice is electric. Yeah. Cole Kubik, I mean, he's probably going to be a sideline reporter. I mean, I think he does a good job. Jordan Rogers, we'll see. But give the UFL a lot of credit, man. They're trying to put big names that's credible to get people to watch. I do think the product on the field is what's going to sell the most, which is a good product. It is. Right. But I just think that when you start talking about how do we grow anything, you got to get names who people know. Tessitore is a big name. I think he's really, really good at what he does. I want to see how Jordan Rogers is because, people are always going to say, oh, man, well, look at what Tony Romo was able to do. He's with Jim Nantz. I could be next to Jim Nantz and couldn't mess it up if I got a veteran like that next to me. But I'm looking forward to seeing Tessitore and Cole Kubik and Rogers and company. I like the fact that these guys are taking on the challenge and say, look, NFL already built up brand. You can do nothing but mess it up. UFL, we trying to continue to grow this product because the one thing about The Rock, he understands. Look, man, I only invest in things that make money. I like that they continue to trend up, and because there's so many players in the draft now that's not going to get drafted. Watch how good the UFL can get really, really quickly if you can add some of this talent coming straight out of this 2025 draft. That's not good. That's going to go on draft to go to training camps. But I like Tessitore. Tessitore had to call a game where his son was playing. And he was doing all he can not to get all excited. I'm like, man, get excited for your kid, man. I get it. This is a once-in-a-lifetime type thing. But Jordan Rogers continues to add to his, he's the Rogers that does commentating and not throw football. No, he played at Vanderbilt. I get that. But no. I'm excited to see it happen. And like I say, announcing these big names hopefully gets people excited. But if the product on the field doesn't boost, what's going on through the color, it's gonna hurt those guys. But I'm looking forward to see these. I'm looking forward to see this tandem together.
Yeah, Tom Luganville does a pretty good job too. So he's a real consummate pro. And you are right though. If you're gonna call these games, you better make them interesting. And Joe Tessitore also does a pretty good job on boxing as well. So he's a well-rounded guy, and that'll set it up for Stephen Reichel. I know you know your fair share about Tessitore. I don't know what you know about the other guys, but I named the announcers. What do you think of this group, or do you want to single out one?
I mean, listen, I don't pretend like all these names like jump off the page. I mean, things like that, and but it's something that Ben already said. It's really about like the team you put together, how you feed off of one another. Announcing will make the game more exciting to a point. Obviously, the product on the field will have to put out, but I mean, we had Pat Summerall and John Madden for the better part of 15, 20 years almost.
Right.
I mean, it's all about who you get matched with, and if you have that chemistry in the booth, how it electrifies what is supposed to be on the field. So I'm intrigued to see it happens. The Rock is throwing everything he can at it. Hopefully, it's like fly paper and it sticks and it does some good things for him, because it couldn't be as bad as it was last year, because that's for sure.
Okay, Candy, close out this subject, and also you have a station break follow-up.
So, premier ESPN and ABC college football play-by-play voice Joe Tessitore will be joined by former Vanderbilt quarterback and SEC network analyst Jordan Rogers in the booth, both making their UFL debut. College Football Insider and 2001 XFL championship winning quarterback coach Tom Luganville and NFL veteran and college football analyst Sam Acho will return as sideline analysts. Both are spring football experts who contributed to ESPN's 2024 UFL and 2023 XFL coverage. So they all have experience in the football realm. Now, like you said, what'll make them good is their ability to talk amongst themselves and have a good chemistry between them. That will help. Yes, the play on the field is most important, but they're also trying to, one of the things I've noticed is they try and talk more about what's going on the field. So that I think they're trying to explain somewhat the game more to some of and I don't mean to downplay, because I'm a female and I know a lot of the rules, but there are a lot of females that don't know the rules. So I think a lot of their commentary helps with some of the schemes and what they're running and stuff like that. So I think they're trying to attract more of an audience, not just the males, but the females as well. So it'll remain to be seen if their chemistry is good in the booth, because that's what makes good teams better.
Okay, Candy, station break time, please.
Okay, South Florida Tribune Publishing Company published a book, Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. It is written by our host, Scott, the Motor City Madmouth Morganroth. Talks about his 40 plus years in the industry and how it has changed and evolved. There's a picture of him with a young Muhammad Ali. Go get your copy today. Available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, Google, and Apple Books. There's also a link on our website, www.southfloridatribune.com, where you can find a link to our merchandise store as well as a plethora of great content. Go check it out. If you see the red subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner, click it, like us, share us with all your friends and family. Monday nights, we talk baseball. Tuesday nights, we talk football. Wednesday and Thursday nights, you just never know what we're going to be talking about. Although right now on Thursday nights, we're still talking hockey as the hockey season ends very soon and playoffs start. So check out some of our other shows as well. If you like to listen to podcasts, you can find us wherever you get your podcast. If you want to advertise or sponsor one of our great shows, call Scott 954-304-4941. If you want to be a guest, Or if you have topic ideas, you can always email us at southfloridatribune@gmail.com. Back to you, Scott.
Well done, Candy. All right, let's continue the theme here. Devonta Smith is the fourth player to win a Heisman Trophy and a national championship and a Super Bowl. Get this. He joins an impressive list of Marcus Allen, Tony Dorsett, Charles Woodson, Reggie Bush on an elite list. Penman, you know these names. What do you think of what Mr. Devonta Smith has done?
Huge accomplishment. I think it's. I have to give him credit. So that's
Also, I can tell you right now, we have a video of Devonta Smith on the South Florida Tribune YouTube channel, and I did have the opportunity to ask him questions. So if you are interested in what he has to say, go to the South Florida Tribune YouTube channel and look for videos of Devonta Smith that's on there. What do you think, Ben?
Very, very impressive. I mean, you're talking about a list like that. Most of the time when you win the national championship, and you do win the Heisman, people, I mean, you have nowhere to go but down when you see how hard it is. Listen, I love Devonta Smith and what he means to the Eagles, what he means to the receiver position. As long as he's not calling himself the greatest college wide receiver of all time, I have no problem with Devonta Smith. He is a slim reaper out there. Him and A.J. Brown are the best tandem of receivers in the league. I love Devonta. Listen, when you win a Heisman at receiver, when you win the national championship, when you win a Super Duper Bowl, you can say whatever you want. Just don't call yourself the greatest college wide receiver of all time. That is debatable. But as far as his career, hey, man, I know that his teammate A.J. Brown does mannequins. I think Devonta Smith, he's going to have a room with nothing but his accolades and trophies in it. And dare I say, he wants to keep adding to it.
All right, Steven. Well, that's a tough act to follow.
I don't know how you get any better than what Ben just dropped right there. I mean, you can't. He's right, man. Like when you win a college national championship, you get a Heisman Trophy. You can't go in. You can't go anywhere. It's really hard to go up. You got to think. Bringing in AJ Brown, he went from being the guy in Philadelphia to being the number 2 wide receiver. And it hasn't affected him. You don't see, you don't see any griping or grumbling. Yeah, I need balls. I need this. Listen, he just goes out there and plays. Yeah, as much as we're talking his accolades, he doesn't go out there and pump himself up. Only when he gets put on a podcast, he goes and says knucklehead things like he's the best receiver in college football history. But I mean, absolutely, I'm a little biased here. Love that he's here. Love that he's he's our number 2 guy here as far as receiving options in Philadelphia. But, Heisman, national championship and 2 trips to the Super Bowl, winning one of them. Yeah, it's going to be hard to top that. He's going to have to notch some all pros and get a gold jacket to kind of go up from where he's at now.
You know what? Both you and Ben make some good points. But, I'm going to let Candy go first, and then I'll get the final word on this. Go ahead, Candy.
So in his senior year, he recorded over 1,800 yards with 23 touchdowns as a senior in 2020. He was awarded the Heisman Trophy. He was the first wide receiver to win the Heisman since Desmond Howard back in 1991. That speaks volumes right there. Taking that long for a wide receiver. He was selected 10th overall in the 2021 draft to the Eagles. In his 4th season with the Eagles, he won the Super Bowl, becoming one of these elite players that has won Heisman, National College title, and Heisman Trophy. Very few do that. One of the other videos you're going to have besides his up, Scott, and you probably don't want me to be mentioning this, but will be Jimmy Johnson, because he's one of the only ones that's played, coached and won Super Bowls, national champions as a player, coach, and so it's an elite class when you do things that very few have done.
I'm going to go Eddie Prather. The best thing about Smith is he doesn't come across as a diva like some of the top wide receivers in the NFL. You really are on target with that. So all I'm going to say about this, what Devonta Smith did is he accomplished a lot at a young age. How many of these guys take an entire career to do it, and he's done it in his 20s? Can you only imagine what he's going to accomplish next? You think about a Heisman Trophy, a national championship, and a Super Bowl in his 20s. Oh, my goodness. Really? Seriously? Really? Ben,
Devonta Smith will go down in history in college football of having the greatest catch. That catch he had in the national championship from Tua to beat Georgia, that was the greatest mic drop you ever gonna see. Because when he called the game over, national championship, and that was true freshman to true freshman from Tua to Devonta Smith. I mean, like I say, man, to be as great as he is and to not be a diva, that shows you how great the culture is in Philly, and that shows you how much he respect Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown. Hey, man, the guy went to Alabama. You know he could play ball. So, he won the Heisman. I mean, every Heisman in Alabama history was not coached by Bear Bryant. They was all coached by Nick Saban. That would be Devonta Smith, Bryce Young, Derrick Henry, and Mark Ingram. So hey, man, I got, once again, that's why my Falcons ain't going to be good, because we got to deal with guys like Devonta Smith, who's only getting better with them birds up there in Philly.
And the thing is, when I had an opportunity to talk to a pretty even-keeled kid, too. It's like, he does his talking in the field. If you're looking for a good interview, you get what you can get out of them. Just keep asking questions, and maybe you get something out of them. But you know what? I don't take offense to people that don't talk as much, because they're just soft-spoken. So you just do the best you can, as long as it's polite. All you can ask for when you're interviewing, Steve, this is something you're going to know as time goes on as we develop the Monday show. As long as they're polite to you, you can't ask a whole lot more than that. If they're not candid, well, that just happens. And Devonta Smith's a good kid, and I can only hope he does well. But when you talk about Derrick Henry, Saban treats his guys like they got to get ready for the NFL. Dealing with the media is what he does. And not only do you get trained to play football, but dealing with the media, because he's dealt with it on a lot of different levels. And that's the one thing. I've never met him, but I could just see through body language and his mannerisms, that's what he does. All right, so now let's move on to the NFL draft. The NFL draft was expected to reduce its draft invitees list to 8 to 10 players, but now we have an update, and there will be 17. But guess what? Shedeur Sanders won't be one of them. So let me go over the list of the players that will be in Green Bay. You've got Tyler Booker, John Campbell, Will Campbell, Abdul Carter, Jackson Dart, Matthew Golden, Mason Graham, Travis Hunter, Ashton Jeanty, Will Johnson, Tet Iroa McMillan. I hope I didn't do too bad on that one. Jalen Milroe, that one's easy. Josh Simmons gets easier. Malaki Starks, Shamir Stewart, Cam Ward, well, I know him all too well, and Michael Williams. Great group, but what are your thoughts? We're not going to comment on all these particular players, but Penson, they went from 8 to 10, but now all of a sudden you have 17. We knew Shedeur was going to stay with his dad. What are your thoughts on the fact that they anteed up a little bit to put more players in Green Bay?
I think it's good. I think it's a good addition. That way more people can go to it. So,
okay. What about you, Ben?
Yeah, the guys want their moment. I mean, a guy like Travis Hunter definitely wants his moment. I mean, Cam Ward is projected to be the number 1 overall pick. You grew up. Listen, if you grew up, a fan of NFL football, the NFL draft is the greatest draft there is, because it's the only draft you actually know the players getting drafted. You don't even know who getting drafted in the NBA. I don't even know. The MLB draft lasts so long and so many rounds. So when you think about what's going on in the NFL draft, guys want their moment. Guys want to be able to go out there on the big stage, hug the commissioner, put up that number 1 jersey, show off, who was their stylist that day. And I'm happy for those guys. I mean, Shedeur Sanders is learning from his dad. Shedeur Sanders is saying this: if I slide, I don't want to be in Green Bay. If I don't go top 10, I want to be at home to where I can control the narrative. Yes, I'm gonna have a camera on me, but I'm happy for all the guys that go. I think the 2 wild cards that's there right now is Jackson Dart, right, and Jalen Milroe. I don't know if Jackson Dart is slated to be the 3rd quarterback taken. I don't know where he's going to go, but Jalen Milroe could be a steal in the 1st round if somebody does indeed take a chance on this young man. But I'm happy for all the guys involved. I think when you talk about the NFL draft, how prestigious it is, how I never ever thought it would not be in New York City, Radio City Music Hall, Avenue of the Americas. You giving other cities an opportunity to share in the pageantry. But I'm happy for every last guy that decided to go. I knew that if Shadir Sanders was going to be the bona fide number one pick, he would have been there. But because he doesn't know, yeah, he's gonna be probably at his dad's crib somewhere in Boulder, just waiting to hear his name called.
So you know what, Eddie? I'm going to take another stab at this name. We're going to call it Tetairoa McMillan. I'm looking at it now, and when I tell you one thing, it's criminal in our business to mispronounce names, but every now and then you get a mulligan when you get so Tetairoa McMillan. All right, there we go.
Bad. You should try to pronounce some of these fighters' names, especially when they overseas. Like you got it easy with just the NFL, man.
Good.
Oh, man.
Wait. I'm leaving you with that one. I ain't even touching that one with a 10.
Yeah, good luck with that, Steven. Good luck.
Yeah, all right. So
I hear you. Listen, man. From interviewing all these fighters for like over the past 10 years or so, sometimes what I would do when I would have them on there, I would have them say their name. So I like, how do you pronounce it?
That's really smart. Okay, I'm going to give you that one. So now why don't you give me what I'm asking for?
But
as far as 8 to 10, now you're up to 17.
Yeah, as far as the actual question goes, glad that it's more than the 8 to 10 that they wanted. Right. I would want more than 17. Obviously there's some guys who don't feel like they're going to be drafted in the first round. That's fine. There's still, do the cameras turn off after day one? Did I miss something? No. Listen, man, it's a once in a lifetime experience. You only get drafted once in this league. So I would say if I'm the NFL, if I'm the NCAA, I try to find a way to bring more of them there because there's so many other things you could do. If you actually been to an NFL draft these days, there's plenty of stuff for these guys to do other than waiting around for the name to be called. You could be mingling with your fans, creating fans from other fan bases that ain't gonna be your team. It's a once in a lifetime experience. I get why Shador isn't there. He probably doesn't want to have all the cameras in his face, even though he's probably going to have one there. I guess he's controlling the fact of how many cameras he's going to have there. Being with his dad, I mean, listen, there's nothing wrong with him not being there. But me personally, the fan side of it, the media side of it, all of it, I think we need more than 17. I want more guys there. I want to see more guys go on that stage. That's all where I'm going to leave that one at.
Well, Candy and I had a pretty good experience in the NFL draft in Detroit. It was really unbelievable. And you know what, Eddie? I do agree that I think Dart could be taken at 21 by the Steelers. I think a lot of people are projecting that. And incidentally, I want to let everybody know in the screw, I probably will be on the NFL draft call on Friday. I was given an invitation by the NFL Communications Department to join. I was on there last year, and they've invited me back. So, Candy, some thoughts about this? And although, give me the Wisconsin's guy's name that was on a boat with his dad and didn't show up at the draft. Do you remember his name? I know she's going to draw a blank, but are they having the draft at Lambeau? In fact, yes, they are, Eddie. I know you're subscribed to our channel. We actually have a video that we're going to be putting on soon, so go look for it. Go ahead, Candy.
So they are not actually drafting in Lambeau. There is a stage outside of Lambeau, in between Lambeau and the practice field. They are doing tours though, so that Lambeau will be open. They're doing a lot of cool things. They're going to be allowing you to do Lambeau leaps. They're going to be doing all kinds of different things, but the actual draft will not be inside Lambeau. It's going to be outside. Why, as a player, if you think you're going to be drafted, whether it be round 1 or round 2, even round 3, why wouldn't you want to be at the place that the trophy that you're going to be playing for is named after? Right. I mean, this is the first time the NFL draft is in the state of Wisconsin, much less in Green Bay around Lambeau Field. I think one of the coolest things that the NFL did is move this draft around to cities that will, let's face it, they'll never get the Super Bowl. Even though the trophy is named after Vince Lombardi, they'll never get the Super Bowl because they don't have enough. A lot of things, logistic wise, it will never be in Green Bay. But why wouldn't such an iconic place, such an iconic field, why wouldn't you want to go to that draft if you're going to be drafted? Like you guys have both said, this is your one time. You're going to only be drafted once. one of the things I will say to any young person, if you can do and have an experience that's a once in a lifetime experience, go do it. Don't hold back, because you don't get days back. You don't get your draft back. Don't live with regrets. Go enjoy the moment. Enjoy the other guys. How many other draft people can you talk to? And you can sit there and you can talk with them. Yes, I understand Schroeder is not going to be there. And I'm guessing it's for what you think. The fact that if he starts falling, he's not going to want to show his face. I get that. But for everybody else, it's a dream. You've dreamt of the day that you could play in the NFL. You're going to be drafted into the NFL. Now, if there's extenuating circumstances, I understand. And Scott, I cannot remember. It was a Wisconsin player that was out fishing when he got drafted.
I think his name was Joe something, wasn't it?
Oh, Joe. He played. Anyways, yes,
he was an offensive lineman.
Oh, you got. I mean, hold on. Was it Joe Thomas?
That's it.
That went to Cleveland.
Get it right here. Wait, somebody had to get it right here, and it wasn't Candy that got it right. It was Ben. Thank
because it was Cleveland.
Did you Google it? Did you Google it?
No. I didn't Google it I just remember that Joe Thomas was on like a boat when he got. He's such a good player. I just remember he was on a boat with his dad, and it was like, you got drafted by Cleveland. He was like, really? And he just cast his reel. All right, just threw his reel back out. Like, all right, cool.
Thank you very much for allowing me, Ben, to live another day. Candy, what the hell's the matter with you? Joe Thomas, really? Seriously, really? And I'll say one thing.
Ben just has a great memory at the moment. Don't get me.
Oh yeah. Don't quote me right now.
I'll hear about it later, anyways. I don't even care, but
I'll call him Joe Namath in a second. Like Joe Namath? No, that was Joe Thomas.
Wait.
Joe Thomas. Thank God. Unbelievable. But I will say one thing. I did ask Cam Ward about it over at the Miami Pro Day, and he was really looking forward to doing it. I'll tell you, he gave me a nice smile. Yeah, it's kind of neat to be drafted up in Green Bay of all places. Even though the Packers will never get him.
About people dropping, why are you mad if you drop and you're going to a better team? You're going to be going to a better team, a better situation. Regardless if we're talking Shedeur Sanders or whatever. That's why I say it doesn't make sense to me for someone using that as a reason why okay, I'm dropping. That means I have a better opportunity to play with a better team. I don't see that necessarily as a bad thing. Sometimes, I mean, like, granted, like, you have situations where you've fallen into the second round. This is, like I said, it's not like it's not televised and no one's going to see you go on the stage. Maybe you don't have a jersey with your name and a number on it, but that's probably the only downfall. That's it.
Okay. Well, there you go. All right, Candy. Well, you know who it is, Joe Thomas, right? There you go.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, a guy like Ben got it right. That's okay. It doesn't matter, Candy. I'm glad we got it, and we don't have to leave this show without Joe Thomas sighting. Nevertheless, we move on. And this
Hold on, Scott. Can I say one thing?
Yeah, you got something to say? Do it. I'm waiting for you to come around.
At 9 a.m. this morning, I was watching ESPN. They said that Shedeur Sanders had a private workout with the New York Giants. So I don't know if he's going to be drafted. I don't know what's going to happen, but he met with all this team. So just watch out for he might get drafted. They already have
his health concerns. I hope he doesn't wind up going to the Giants.
I know, but they already have two veterans. So I don't know what the Giants are thinking, but I just want to share that breaking news.
They have no offensive line, none.
No, I know they don't have anything.
They got Malik Neighbors. There ain't nothing wrong with that.
That's it.
And the second or third the best defensive tackle in the league. You don't think Dexter Lawrence the second is
but you have Russell Wilson and you have all those. I don't know. So we'll see what happens. What the Giants are doing.
All right. Well, nevertheless, it's still interesting. I'm just glad at least you have 17 there that can enjoy the backdrop of Green Bay. If you've ever been to Lambeau Field in Titletown, it's certainly unbelievable. So let's move on. We got 3 more topics. I knew this was going to be a very loaded show. Nevertheless, Eagles defensive coordinator Vic Fangio wants Brandon Graham to come back next year. We've been watching cut-ups of our season, and just said the other day, maybe we have to get Van Graham into coming out of retirement because when he gets on tape, he still looks good. We'll go to our resident Philadelphia guy, Steven,
I
and we
don't
can
want him
go
to do
from
it.
there.
How do you not have a better ending than that? He was drafted here by Andy Reid. He played 15, 16 years here in Philadelphia. He was a bust. They hated him. They wanted him out of here. And then he turns around and has one of the biggest strip sacks in NFL history, ripping the dynasty down that was Tom Brady at the time, because at the time no one thought that the Patriots could even be beaten.
Right.
And then, Vic is absolutely right that that's one of the things why Brandon pushed so hard to get back after he tore his tricep. It's because how well he was playing those last few years. It wasn't like he was nobody there. He was being held a lot. People would go back and watch the tape. Brandon Graham was being held a lot. And he also had advantage of playing next to Fletcher Cox basically his whole career. And then now you bring a guy in there like a Jalen Carter who's a wrecking machine. Can literally play anywhere on the line if you really wanted him to. But you can't listen. He already said, I think in an interview this week that's hyping everyone up even more about this, that he's 90% retired. That means a 10% chance that he comes back, and everyone here in Philadelphia is freaking out. I'm like, why? It's still 10%. That's out of 100. That's not a big percentage. He tore his bicep again in the Super Bowl. He's not going to be ready. What you would have to look for to see if something happens is if there's an injury middle of the season, like what happened to Brandon. Like, let's just sit there and say Nolan Smith or Jalix Hunt or somebody like that, or if they bring in a veteran gets hurt and they need another guy that knows the system. That's how he comes back. Other than that, I don't think he comes back. I think we're going to start. He is going to be involved with the team in some way, shape, or form a lot more than Kelsey has been over the last year. Granted, Kelsey's been in the building and things like that after his retirement, but Brandon is so much of a leader and so much of a guy that has to be around the game. I do think if he's not a player, he's going to be there as a coach in some type of capacity this season. But as far as him coming back out of retirement, you got to think that we're going to be halfway through summer before he's actually able to fully heal that bicep that he tore twice last year, not once, twice. It's the same arm, same bicep. He tore it almost immediately. Didn't even know till the Super Bowl was over. So you're going to have some issues with that going on. Listen, he still has that spark. He still has that fire. There's no better way to go out than the way he just did. Yeah, he was playing great, but don't taint what you've already done. There's no better way to go out. None.
Okay. Candy, some thoughts? We're waiting for Ben, hopefully, to come back on. Must be having some technical problems.
I agree. I mean, he's spent his entire 15-year career with the Eagles. Why if you are getting injured and you got injured twice this year, why would you want to risk getting injured again and maybe an injury that isn't one that doesn't heal as quickly? It might be a lasting injury for life. You've made how much money, you've done really well, and you went out at the top of your game. Like, you can't go out any. Most guys who play in the NFL, I would think, would love to go out as a Super Bowl champion. And how many people honestly get that option?
It's less than the 10% that are giving them come back. That's for sure.
Exactly. Exactly.
Edwin?
Steve hit the nail on the head right there, but you're a Super Bowl champion. You tore he's like, he's not going to be there. And Steve, you forgot one thing. When he played for Michigan, he was a top 10 player too in Michigan. So he was a beast in Michigan Wolverines. He was awesome in college. I was hoping that he would play back here, but he didn't. But he had a good career. He played there, and I just don't want him to come back. And Eddie hit the nail also. He can come back as if he is coming back, he could be on the squad, on the coaching squad. But as a
Right.
player, there's no reason for him to be a player anymore. He did his time. Let him just relax a little bit, and just have some time with family and friends. And that's what I think about that.
Yeah, when you think of after career NFL health situations, you don't want to be on the wrong end of them. If you can't
You know,
walk, you can't do the things that you really need to do. That's really a shame. So if you
plus
can
you
go
don't
out
know
on
that
top,
Rodgers still fighting.
well, if you can go out on top, you try to do it. I
Right.
remember when John Elway went out on top at the first Super Bowl I saw, that man went out on top because it doesn't get any better than that. A couple more things I want to get to before we close it out. This one's one that I think that actually Fenton could talk about. Deshaun Elliott on Aaron Rodgers joining Pittsburgh. Leave his you know what at the retirement home. Keep in mind that Rodgers makes $1 million for an appearance fee with Pat McAfee, and he finished with a 6-12 record. His overall record over with the Jets. So what do you think about Mr. Deshaun Elliott on Rodgers saying, just stay in the retirement home. We don't need you. I mean, this drama, let's not cut ourselves, has gone on way too long. Anyway, all right, Benjamin, I'll let you lead off on this.
This whole Aaron Rodgers thing is getting out of hand. Even Steelers locker room, this whole staff is getting frustrated. The only person that's not getting frustrated is Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin can sit on his hands and be like, okay, take your time. But don't you understand that we lost Joe Flacco? Just saying, Pittsburgh Steelers, you should just relax before I say something. We could have had Flacco. We could have had Sam Darnold. We could have had this. We could have had all these players. Instead, Tomlin's over there sitting on his hands trying to figure out what to do. Just retire. You're 41 years old. You can't make up your mind. You sat in the dark room way too long. Enough's enough.
Okay, Steven, you're laughing all the way there with all your
Oh,
memorabilia behind
I
you.
mean, how do you not like the saga that is Aaron Rodgers? We all thought that the Brett Favre nonsense was crazy 10 years ago, right?
Right.
And I think his replacement, Aaron Rodgers, is doing it even better. I
Yeah,
mean,
but 2 weeks is good.
I'm still confident that he's going to complete the Favre 4. I honestly believe that he's going to wind up in Minnesota, regardless. You know, for as far as Steelers fans go, I still think that's where Shedeur Sanders winds up. That's just my opinion. I could be dead wrong. I don't think that with all the stuff's going on that they're going to buy in to 1 year with Aaron Rodgers. I don't think they're going to do it.
I don't. Not now.
I mean, my thought of Aaron Rodgers, Ben said it great on when we were talking about it on our show, was his memory of Aaron Rodgers in as a Jet was him getting injured and him basically exiting himself out and just being a high goofball. Listen, he's at the point, he's at the end. You're gonna get out what you're gonna get out from him. He's not a guy that's gonna mentor another kid or anything like that. So I mean, what are you really gonna get out of Aaron Rodgers? Unless you're one of these teams where you get through training camp and your guy goes down and you need someone to fill the gap for that season, is the only reason I see someone bring him in. Otherwise, retire, ride off into the sunset, go to your ayahuasca parties, go hop on the Pat McAfee show and goof around with him. Like, ride off into the sunset. Like, he may not have the storybook ending like we were just talking about with Brandon Graham, but I mean, the guy's arguably going to be getting a golden jacket at some point in time just because of his numbers, the Super Bowls, and things of that nature. So, let it go, Aaron. Let it go. I know it's also about the money too. You always want to make sure you have a nice nest egg before you ride off into the sunset. I think he's made enough money in his career. So the real question is where he winds up. And again, if you go another route, because as Eddie's just mentioning Carr, he could wind up being with the Saints.
Yeah, I know. I've heard that story recently. We'll talk about that as that get closer to playing out. But as a Rodgers turns is what we can call that soap opera, but nobody knows it better than Candy, though. She knows about the Aaron Rodgers drama more than anything. The only thing I will make a prediction on this show about Aaron Rodgers is he will not get the job at Jeopardy. No, thank you very much. It wasn't good enough for that. I didn't think
No way.
Candy was going to mention it anyway. So go ahead, Candy. If anybody knows about Rodgers, it's you.
Yep.
Oh, where do we begin? Aaron
Who
Rodgers.
knows? You might be long enough to get Ben back on the show with his internet problems.
Well, Aaron Rodgers and his drama. Yeah. But my question to you is, what does Aaron Rodgers really want to do? Like, what else is he going to do? He's only really known playing football. So it would make sense that he would come back. Now, does it make sense that he has not been able to negotiate the contract? I don't know what he's asking for. I understand he's how old, and he's only going to have so much left in the tank. But he really hasn't played a lot the last 2 years. He played some this past year, but the year before that, we know he didn't. So there's been times he hasn't played as much.
3 snaps.
Does he have it? Does he have another? So my question would be to the panel, because you all think he should retire, but how many of all of the teams do you think their quarterback that they currently have as their number one quarterback is better than Aaron Rodgers would be?
I would.
Are you willing to say all of the teams have a better quarterback than he would be?
No way.
I would say more than half would probably say no.
Well.
But we're talking maybe 5% of the teams in the league that could potentially say like, "Hey, we need to make a change here. We need to make a run at this. Let's see what Aaron Rodgers can bring us." As cars now there's issues with his arm. It would make sense for him to go down to New Orleans. I said Minnesota. It's only because you don't know what JJ is going to do or how he's going to respond to coming back this year and running the team after having Sam Darnold running the show last year after he went down. So it's one of those things like Pittsburgh might make sense, but they're at a point where they could probably jump up and still get a guy. Like I said, it could be. I still think that's where Shedeur winds up, in my opinion. But it's one of those things where, like I said, there's maybe a handful of teams, maybe more, that would say we need this to get us somewhere. His only hope right now is somebody goes down, like you get one of these teams, maybe the Chargers, you lose your quarterback there, where they're trying to compete and be a playoff team and go for a playoff run, where that's where something where it makes sense. As of right now, I just don't think it. I don't.
So my other question is, and I know in Green Bay he did not mentor Jordan Love. We all know that. We all know that he was not
a mentor. He's not one of those guys. Nope.
Well, he wasn't one of those guys, because let's face it, he was not ready to hang it up, and he knew that that's where the direction that Green Bay was going and needed. That's what their direction was. And how many of us really want to mold our replacements? We don't, especially when you didn't know it. But now, knowing where he's at in his career, knowing where the league is, knowing that he's how old and knows that he's not going to have that many more years, he might be more open to being a mentor for some of these young, because he knows he doesn't have more than 2 years. And my question is do any of you think he would ever go into coaching? And if we do think he would go into coaching, would being a mentor for a year for a quarterback be the way to test that kind of waters to see if that's something that he truly is interested in? Because let's face it, he does not need the money. But what else is he going to do? Because let's face it, he's single. He likes, he goes into dark retreats. Well, you don't need much for a dark retreat.
Well, not only that, he gets immunized too. I never heard of immunized until he brought it up. All I can say is if I'm Aaron Rodgers, I don't want to go out the way I did with the Jets. That was awful. Yeah, so exactly. I think Pittsburgh was the safest landing spot for him. Aaron, if you're thinking at all, and whether you're in a hideout retreat or wherever, Mike Tomlin, to me, is as safe as you can get. You go to a place with a winning tradition, all you have to do is play football, and you have a small media market that won't go out there and hang out to dry like New York. You didn't do too bad in Green Bay. They're forgiving there. At this point in your life, don't go out and New York Jet the way you did. It's hard to imagine that Zach Wilson was better than Aaron Rodgers, but he won more games than he did, and you can't hide the numbers. So whether you're immunized, whether you're in a retreat, whatever, Aaron, the NFL draft is a week away, and a lot of teams are going to have their quarterback situation a lot more clearly defined than they do now. So it's better for you to at least try to know that you're there for a year or two, and the Steelers want you. If the Vikings wanted you by now, I think they would have signed you. And New Orleans obviously now is in flux because of the car injury. And Cleveland is probably out of the option because I think they're going to go back. They're going back to Joe Flacco. We'll get into that another day. I'm not going to talk about it now. But Aaron, hey, you waited this long, so you're going to wait longer. But at some point or another, you're going to have to do what you got to do. And I'm going to say this: Mason Rudolph, to me, is a stopgap quarterback is capable of doing what he has to do for a year or two, which is why the Steelers brought him back in the first place. So I'll leave it at that. I don't know if we're going to see Ben the rest of.
I was just going to say that Mason Rudolph matured in Tennessee than he did in Pittsburgh because Ben Roethlisberger took the reins, and when Ben went out that whole year, Mason just threw the ball around. But now that he had a couple years in Tennessee, he's matured big time.
Well, I'm sure he did. I mean, you got on to Tennessee, you better mature.
Right.
I mean, that was a tough situation being down there. It really was. Candy, what else did you want to add to this?
Just one kind of a little off topic, but a little on topic, is that if Aaron does sign with whoever, just so you all know, there were 7 helmets that were banned from the NFL, and the helmet that he wears is one of those that has been banned. So he would have to find a new helmet as well.
Oh,
just a little
deal.
off.
Yeah, that is.
We're talking about.
Come on. You got 7 helmets, one of them banned. Right now he's got a concussion without any of them because he can't make up his mind. You know what he needs more than a helmet? He needs a psychologist, a psychiatrist. He needs to go in a dark retreat. He needs to get immunized. And we're talking about a helmet? But go ahead, Katie. Continue. One of the 7 helmets. Did what's his face? Who was it? Devontae Adams have a problem with a helmet before he got run out of the Raiderville? Couldn't even decide on a helmet either. What's he been like since? Come on, Katie. I don't mean to interrupt you. But
you
really,
did, though. You
don't even care.
You
We're talking about a helmet.
it.
We're talking about a helmet for a guy that can't even use this thing called a pen and a paper to sign a contract. Usually the way a contract is sign on the dotted line. He doesn't know what the dotted line is. He's too busy going on Pat McAfee and standing him up.
It's not that he doesn't know the dotted line, Scott. He's trying to get probably the most bang for his buck, knowing that, and the best situation, knowing that he only has 1 or 2 years. He is the one thing you have to give him is he's very intelligent. We might not think what he's doing is right and that he's a drama king, but he is a very intelligent person. So if he's trying to hold out thinking he's going to get more money, he better be careful because he's going to get burnt if he doesn't.
Well, that's true. He went to the University of California. They don't take dummies there. University of California is one of the best academic schools out in the country. I put California up there with the Michigans out there. I put California in the league of the Ivy Leagues and the Dukes. I mean, that's a pretty unbelievable school. If you've ever been to the University of California, they don't produce stupid people out there. They really don't. But he better make up his mind because now if he's so intelligent, right now he ain't making any money, although he has enough. That's not the point. But the reality is he's running out of teams. That's all there is to it.
That's true.
There aren't many places to go. We know he's not going to the Canadian Football League because they have a salary cap of 5,000 people. And we know he's not going to the United Football League when he could probably own it and buy it from Fox and ESPN. Where's he going to go next? Not going to the RFL, the Russian Football League, if they even have one.
Right now, he's annoying Kevin McConnell because he really wants to play Minnesota, but
he's annoying everybody, Pensman.
Yeah, no, he keeps closing the door. He keeps butting his door in.
He's annoying everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But it is what
Yep.
it is.
Yep.
He's the drama queen that's getting all this attention. And look at, we're all
And
still
you know what?
him.
And
We're
we're
talking
dumb
about
enough
it
to
so he wins.
and we're
Yep.
dumb enough to get it to him. But you know the worst part about it is the smartest guy on this particular topic is Deshaun Elliott, because he said leave his, you know what, in a retirement home. That's the smartest thing anybody said about this guy.
Yep.
That's why I brought
The
it
problem is you put him in a home, he'd find his way out.
Oh, don't worry. I got an incredible topic next in about a week or two about a Chinese woman that actually tried to get out of a nursing home, but I won't mention her age. I'll leave that as a teaser in the next couple of weeks, because I have a fun segment on a Wednesday night. Oh, if I ever got you on that show, Steven, you never failed me with this group. Maybe one of these days I will, if I have any vacancies, because I think you'd love to come on that show. I don't want to overwear you out, but this is the show. If you come on, it is a wild, wild west of shows. You never know, Steven. I'm trying to mold this guy into being another me. Then again, that's pretty dangerous if he ever becomes another one of me. But this guy would run amok on that show. But we're getting through the professor and the pupil for sure. One more topic we're going to get to as we wrap this bad boy up, and that's this: Indianapolis Colts announced that they'll play in the 2025 Berlin game. What are your thoughts, President, about the Indianapolis Colts going to Berlin? Penguin, anybody home?
You cut.
Okay.
Yeah, you cut in and out.
I did. Okay. The Indianapolis Colts are going to Berlin, Germany. What do you think about them going there?
Listen, they went Packers and Eagles. They went to Brazil. They go. NFL's trying to go worldwide now. So I kind of agree with it. That if they want to make more money and make more name, so be it. I agree with it. Let them have it.
What about you there, Steven?
Hey, listen, the more places the NFL gets in, the more fans they get in, the more reach that they have, which is kind of the overall goal with what we're seeing with the international games. I think the real question is, when are we going to have an international team?
Right.
That's the real question. I think that's what this is ultimately going to come to, is that we're eventually going to have either a team or teams outside of the United States. All they have to do is figure out the logistics of it to make it happen. That's kind of the real thing.
What about you, Candy?
The NFL, out of all of the sports leagues, knows how to market themselves. And one of the best ways to market yourself is to tap into markets that you haven't been in or haven't had a strong presence in. So kudos to the NFL. Now, what I will say is, don't lose sight of your standards. You should have certain standards for the field that you're putting your players on. You have, but it's going to be the first time. This will be the first ever regular season NFL game in Berlin. The Colts are obviously the home team. The game will take place at the historic Olympic Stadium in Berlin. The date has not been given, and the opponent has not been given yet. The NFL is increasing its international presence, and Berlin joins London, Munich, and Frankfurt as cities that have hosted the NFL games in the past. So kudos to them for expanding their reach. As a business, you want to keep growing, because if you don't grow, you get stagnant. How else can the NFL grow? Because they are huge here in the United States. So their next move was to keep moving and progressing. You know, where else are they going to put it? It'll be interesting to see the different cities that it expands to next.
Well, I'll just close out the topic by saying I remember when there was the World League of American Football or NFL Europe. So it's not like they haven't been going out there and trying to tinker with the whole thing. So the best thing they can do is, since they know the league, they're doing it in the right thing. But NFL Europe, to me, was something that was important. And we all know that the NFL is way ahead of the European game than most. Thank you, than anybody else. So it'll be pretty good. But I'm glad that they're putting one in Berlin, and this is another opportunity. The Jacksonville Jaguars, we know, own London because they've been playing there for years, and that's one area that Shad Khan's been able to do in order to keep the team financially viable. I mean, that was one of my bucket list things, but it just never worked out. But NFL Europe was huge, and I'll tell you one thing: I have a lot of followers on Twitter that some of them follow me in the United Kingdom, and it's just pretty interesting to share that stuff. And many of them really like to read that stuff, and I enjoy the followers that I have there. So NFL Europe, but yeah, I'm happy that anytime that they can go out there and have a situation where they're able to expand out across the pond is one thing. Baseball's behind there. Hockey is more or less in Sweden. I don't think they've done an awful lot in Europe as much. And we got baseball, basketball, and NBA is getting better at it, but the NFL's way ahead of all of them. Great show tonight. Ben did a good job. Obviously, technical issues are part of what we have to deal with. No big deal. Our main objective is, I'm sure he'll be better than ever when we get ready to go for our draft coverage next week. So, and now Ralph Williams chimes in here at the end that Mason Rudolph should be the starting quarterback for the Steelers and Rodgers anywhere but the Steelers. Well, I think a lot of people are getting frustrated. They may empathize with you there, but we're going to have a pretty good show next week with, obviously, plan is to have Ben, and I'm working on one of my colleagues here. We'll get it, disclose it as more as we go along. But meanwhile, any closing thoughts, parting shots? We've gone this far. I'm open for a parting shot or two. Go ahead. Penman, do you have any parting shots? Do you have any shots?
Just the Penguins are eliminated from the playoffs for the second consecutive year. They need to fix. You put your arm down, Steven. They need to fix that. They need to fix something in Pittsburgh, like right now.
Blow it up.
I feel bad for you the second. What about the Red Wings? They're 9 out. You're not getting any sympathy if that's the best you got for a parting shot. You'll have to work on your game, and you'll have 24 hours to figure it out by tomorrow night. Okay, go ahead, Steven.
Nothing really. He just gave me an easy party shot, and laughing at the Penguins' demise is always a fun thing to watch.
Enjoy it while you have it.
Well, Candy always asks me.
I can't say anything. My team hasn't won a cup since '75.
Candy always asks me before we got on the show for a parting shot. All right, Candy, now you have a chance.
I'm surprised you're laughing.
You want one? Take it.
So, good luck to the Milwaukee Bucks. They start their playoff run against the Indianapolis Pacers, and they're going to do it without Damian Lillard. Damian, I hear you're getting closer and closer to recovery. He was diagnosed with blood clots, but for those of you that think that, woe is us, the Bucks actually, I thought I read today they have like a 13-4 record without Damian. So don't count us out just because he's not there. But Damian, we want you back healthy, and when you're ready, don't rush it.
I do have a parting shot. Let's hope the Lakers get swept.
There we go. That works.
Because anything to not deal with the James Circus is a good day in my book.
All right, I like that. That's okay, Steven. Like I said, my only thing I'm going to do with you, I want to make sure you're well-rounded in every sports, and that's why I have you and the professor and the people to make sure you're going to be talking about every sport on the planet. If I'm going to ultimately credential you someplace, I'm going to make sure that two things can happen. Number one, you're going to wear a golf shirt and your hat the right way. And number two, when you do that, okay, you're also going to cover.
This is just me having fun, man.
I know that's here on this platform. Hey, but when you're in the field, it's a different animal around me.
That you're absolutely right.
I don't care. Listen,
I have my nice polo shirt on. I don't nice pants.
Let me finish.
No, go ahead.
Okay, nobody ever does anyway, so it doesn't matter. I love it when you're having fun on this show because you define what the word entertainment is better than anybody I've ever seen in my years in the business. And that's why and I know you're going to learn a lot from the book that should be there any day now. When I get you in the field, man, it's going to be like going to boot camp, brother. I guarantee that any backup quarterback that ever has to go out there and hold a clipboard, you'll be holding it good, and you'll have a good time. Though I guarantee if you can, Candy's covering her face up right now. Oh, you've got to carry a clipboard for him out there. Oh my goodness, it's an experience. All I have to do is focus on mental labor. Remember, mental labor. I have to have all my caffeine I got to be out thinking. And I got to make sure I ask what you call gunpowder kind of questions. And but no, all kidding aside, Steven,
Listen, I
can't
promise.
wait to, I can't wait to get
when we get down to that. I will be the professional person when I'm on here. Listen, this is just me. This isn't just me being fan, having a fun, recalling stuff that I have in my head. So
I didn't give you a dress code on here. I don't care what you look like on here.
So
for the most part.
So if I come shirtless like LeBron James,
well, not that.
No.
Wait, I knew you were going there. I set you up for that. And you know what? Isaiah Thomas called the guy out. This guy knows more about sports than giving him credit. Isaiah ripped him up on NBA TV for going shirtless. I'll tell you one thing about Reichel. He knows more about sports than me. We just have him on football. Oh, I can't wait to put this guy in all kinds of shows. I may hit you with NASCAR next Monday. We'll see what happens.
Well, as long as Lamar Jackson stops trying to sue people for the likeness of the number 8 going after Dale Earnhardt as his latest victim, then we're all good to go.
They settled that because they have two different.
It was the styling. This is what I was saying about. I made when I made a post about it because me and Ben talked about it. Someone was like, "Oh, it wasn't a copyright." I'm like, when I made my post, it said for the likeness of the number 8. I read the post. It's absolutely a trademark thing. He tried to do the same thing to freaking Troy Aikman. Listen. Yep. We're talking about stylings of a number. You're wasting money going to court when you could have called the main and settled it.
Right.
Scott, you got more than you bargained for with this guy. I've ever had a guy who's the right co-host for the professor to pupil, Stephen Reichel is what I call the Robert Redford of that show. He's a natural. And that's a compliment, Reichel. You better take that as exactly coming from. You are a natural when it comes to that stuff. Listen, man, I like the way you dress on here because you're a character. And that's what I have on here. You are a character, okay? The way you dress. I mean, but I'll tell you, hey, listen, he's going to have to, when he starts reading my book, I'll tell you, give this guy credit, though. He wrote 3 stories in one day, and they were all pretty good.
I tried.
This guy here's, I'll tell you one thing, I have some prospects in my system, but Stephen Reichel, okay, is going to be one that I expect to do some big things because he's got the work ethic and the personality to do it. Am I a good promoter? You better make me look like a genius.
I got a bunch of interviews lined up over the next week or so I should be having some fun. I got the Minnesota Vikings alumni president Ben Williams is going to be joining us tomorrow. I got former Baltimore Ravens Dwayne Stark's going to be joining me the following Wednesday, and then I still haven't gotten into my combat sports interviews, which I was already telling you about last night. So I'm always going to be having fun, no matter where I'm going, who I'm talking to. It's always going to be a blast.
Oh, I know. I plucked this guy off of Twitter, just so you know, Pensman. He came from Twitter. Okay.
Same place where I found him.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yep.
Huh?
Same place where I found you, knuckleheads.
I can't hear you.
So I said the same place I found you guys.
Oh yeah, we found somebody. Meanwhile, you're on here twice a week, and who knows what else you're going to be on next. So I'll keep you busy.
Yes, Eddie, he was absolutely a hurricane. I'm going to have an absolute pleasure of watching Ben recount his times getting beat by the said hurricane. So it should be fun.
Yeah, don't worry. I got a lot of good stuff cooking here. But meanwhile, as we hit the 93-minute mark here, it's been a lot of fun. We keep it interesting. Ben, like I said, I'm looking forward to having him back on. But he was on. He was his usual awesome self. Benjamin did a pretty good job. Candy, as always, I know what I expect out of you. Looking forward to having a great show next week and keeping this show going as long as we can. And I have the utmost confidence in the group that I put on here that we're going to give you everything that we've got. So meanwhile, with all that said, that does conclude this edition of Inside the Pigskin. But before we get off the air, Pens and let everybody know how they can get a hold of you.
Find me on X on Pensman Sports, and you can find me on YouTube on Pensman Sports, and you can find me on Twitch as of last Monday. You can find me on Pensman Sports 07, and that's follow me over there because I only have 3 followers, so it just started. So follow me over there.
07 what?
Pensman 07.
I was making fun. I'm like calling you 007.
Yeah,
that's fine too.
I don't know about Twitch. I know about Blue Sky, but I'm not that further into that one yet. Go ahead, Steven. Let it out there. Let them,
Yeah, just
everything you got going.
type in my name, Stephen Rochelle. It should be real easy to find me. Facebook and Instagram. The handle right underneath my name there, Steve Sports Talk 1. There you can follow me on X. Same thing with my YouTube. You can follow me there. I only got like 16, 17 subscribers on there, but always growing. I'm obviously 2 shows deep here every week. I also have my show with Ben Troop every Wednesday morning, the Fan in the End, and I also host a combat sports show called The Parting Shot. So it's always great hearing my show name when I get on here talking about parting shots. So
don't worry. Wait till I get you on the Sports Exchange. Maybe as early as next Wednesday. I have an opening actually that night. If you ever want to come out for that one, that's a little bit later at night. I don't think nothing's past your bedtime, anyways. But still, I got a guy who's a Mr. Opinion on that show. Oh my God, you'll eat this guy. Love it. Hey, I may have to put you to work a little bit more one time next week to fill in, but I guarantee you'll hear parting shots a lot. And that'll help you have some internal advertising like you wouldn't believe. I don't know, Steven, we'll talk about it, but nevertheless, Candy, give it to him there on ours. Steven, all I can tell you, brother, you're awesome, brother, and I'm glad that we do a lot of this stuff. I couldn't think of a better person to have as my sidekick, and you're definitely it, my brother.
Appreciate it, my friend.
All right, go ahead, Candy.
Okay, so I'm going to start out with my stuff. So Tuesday night, 7:30, I am on 2 different shows. We sometimes call it 3 Chicks in a Pod or Chicks and Salsa. We are on the Chicks Podcast YouTube channel, 7:30, and it's me. It basically three chicks started it. They added me as a 4th, and so instead of being 4 chicks in a pod, we decided let's change the name to Chicks and Salsa. And so we did a show earlier tonight. It's Tuesday night, 7:30 Eastern. Then you can always find me on South Florida Tribune. On Thursday nights, I lead a show called Fire Up. So you never know what we're going to be talking about. But Scott, our host, he wrote a book. Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. Talks about how media has changed, old school media versus new school media. He's been in the media business for over 40 years. That is a testament. Wow. You don't hear that too much these days. So if you want to listen to some really good stories, if you want to see some good pictures, if you want to learn about the business, go buy his book. Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, Google, and Apple Books. There's a link on our website, www.southfloridatribune.com. There's also a link to our merchandise store, as well as a plethora of great content. Scott writes, Pensman, once in a blue moon writes. It's been a while. We're now getting Steven to write, and I take pictures, so you can go see some of my pictures. I think I wrote an article once. Well, I think Scott wants me once in a while to write one, so you might see one from me. You never know. But if you like to listen to podcasts, you can find us wherever you get your podcasts. If you want to advertise or sponsor any one of our shows or all of our shows, call Scott, 954-304-4941. And if you want to be a guest on one of our shows or you have topic ideas, you can always email us at southfloridatribune@gmail.com. Monday nights, we talk baseball. Tuesday nights, we talk football. Wednesday nights on Sports Exchange, any sport goes. I mean, we've done cornhole to bowling to golf to football, NHL, you name it.
I think we talked about cricket too.
We've expanded the gamut. Thursday nights on Fire Up, you never know what we're talking about. But you're coming over to my country club when you come Thursday nights to Fire Up. But preceding my country club on Thursday nights, Scott does the second edition of the Sports Exchange, and he talks hockey. Now, you can always go to our YouTube channel. There is a plethora of great content. We are in the field. We have all kinds of great stuff there. We have he also does a show, a one-on-one interview show called the Motor City Mad Mouth Show. You've got to go check it out. If you're into baseball, he interviewed a former trainer that had been in the business for years, Kevin Rand. Go check that out. He did a one-on-one show with Scott. Who did you just say got a new job?
Oh, I'm glad you mentioned that, Candy. God love this girl. Kenny Albert. And
He
you know
got
what?
a new job.
Him and I exchanged text messages today when I went out there and congratulated him. And I told him that when I am going to start, and just another announcement while we're on here real quickly, I will be starting my new book, The Outlining Process, this summer, and I'm hoping to have it done by the end of the year. So that's something I really feel good about. The medications are helping me a little bit with the Alzheimer's a little. So that's showing progress. The activity is really good. So I really feel like I got the itch to do it. Anytime you get the itch to do it. But I told Kenny Albert, not only do I appreciate him for his friendship, he's going to be in that book as well. And Kenny and I are good friends. And the one thing Steven's going to find out as he reads that book, everything's about relationship building. And that's the one thing I'm really excited that Steven's going to have an opportunity to learn a lot. He knows a lot, but his guy's a coachable guy anyway. But Kenny Albert and I exchanged text messages today. Thanks for mentioning that. He'll be the lead play-by-play guy for the New York Rangers. A job that he's always wanted. Now he's going to get it. Class act.
He's got, like I said, lots of different interviews. He's interviewed an actress and Rachel. He's done book authors. He's done a whole bunch. So go to our YouTube channel, check it out. Check out all the people that we have on all of the different shows. A lot of them have their own YouTube channels. Please go out, subscribe to their YouTube channels, and go check out the content that they're putting out as well as ours. We appreciate all that they do for us. So we want to thank them and have all of you subscribe to their channels too. I do want to say a thank you to everybody that was in the chat room tonight as well. Okay,
Can't say
Scott.
any more than that. With that said, we appreciate everybody for being on the Sports Exchange. Ben Troop, love the guy. I think he's great. Anytime he comes on, it's a blessing. And I think Stephen Reichel for bringing him on this show. Ben's is great. You and Stephen have helped us remake the Inside the Pigskin to be what it is. It's a very entertaining show, but I'm not done adding more pieces to this show. My goal is to make every single show as good as I can, and I'm going to keep finding people. And since I got you and Ben off the Twitter, and I found Pensman, who always fills in on a short notice, and Candy is just a pro. What can I say? So great stuff, as well as everybody across the network. So on behalf of Ben Troop, Candy Ebling, Pensman Sports, Stephen Reichel, and all the people that watched tonight, if you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. Those that you're subscribed, we're forever grateful. We look forward to seeing you again on the network tomorrow night. What we have on tap will be the Sports Exchange at around 9 o'clock Eastern time. I'll probably go ahead, if you're on Facebook and Twitter, put another show out there that we've gone out there in the archives to try to give you a lead in. We'll see what I can do. But meanwhile, thank you very much for joining us, and we will see you next week. And I'll tell you what, Monday night, Professor and the Pupil, Stephen Reichel's come a long way. I'll just be curious to see how many stories he can crank out, but he's off to a whale of a start. Good night, everybody.
Good night.